Eddie House, Amina Smith here with you. And the Celtics take down the Wizards 112-94. And the Celtics with an extremely hot start to this matchup. They led by as much as 24 in this game. But Eddie, what did the Celtics get right in this win?
It was one of them get-back games. What I mean by get-back is get back to what you do on both ends of the court, offensively and defensively. And I think defensively they were locked in and engaged. You look at Jaylen Brown having 10 rebounds. That means anytime somebody has a lot of rebounds and engaged at the rebounding the basketball that's not known as particularly a great rebounder, that lets you know that defensively they're locked in, they're engaged in the game. He had 10 boards. And holding Bradley Beal to 12 points, that's the guy that you need to focus in on, and they did that tonight, and they did that extremely well, and then they shared the basketball. So it was a get-back game, and every which way you could look at it, they got back.
And in pregame, we actually see more intensity on that defensive end. You talk about Jaylen Brown getting those 10 boards, but where did you see that intensity show up the most in this matchup?
Well, I think what they did is that they just made it rough on Bradley Beal. They didn't allow him to get comfortable at all, and they made him try to make plays for other guys that weren't capable on the other team to make any baskets or to make the Celtics pay. So I think they were engaged into the game plan, and that's what you need to do. Whatever the game plan is, go out there and execute it, and they did that well.
Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they really took over this matchup from the very beginning. 27 points combined just in that first quarter. I believe 47 points total tonight for Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Just what did you see out of the Jays in this game?
Well, they're always going to do what they do. If they're going to have the ball in their hands, they're going to have plenty of opportunities to go out there and score. It's just about making the right plays and getting other people involved, and they did that. They got other people involved when they needed to, and then when they needed to score, they went on and made it happen. But, again, the 10 rebounds by Jaylen Brown, to me, was a sign of being engaged on the side of the ball that needed to be addressed the most, because defense, it hasn't been offense. Offense hasn't been the problem with the Celtics. Scoring the basketball, getting baskets, getting buckets, getting other guys involved. It's been on the defensive end, and Jaylen Brown had 10 defensive rebounds, and I talked about that in the beginning. It was like, hey, you know what? Closing out a defensive possession with the rebound, that means everything. And to go out there and he did it 10 times, so it showed me that they were engaged, and they're taking a step in the right direction right now.
Yeah, the starters did their thing, but also the guys on the bench, they did their thing as well. Malcolm Brogdon being one of them. He's with Abby Chin right now.
Malcolm, you were questionable coming into this game. You came in the second half and took over. What were you able to do?
I think just be aggressive. We started the second half slow, but we were making the right plays. We were just missing shots. We were playing good ball. And I felt like I was able to come in and, get downhill a little bit, free some guys up, but also put the ball in the basket.
Your first 20-point game as a Celtic. You told me you're going to stretch a little more before you came in. You think that's what did it?
Yeah, I stretched a little bit. I was a little bit warmer, man. My back took a toll last game, so I came in better shape today.
You weren't the only one. The bench unit carried this team for periods of this game. How important is that, and how much pride did that group take in this one?
I mean, I take a lot of pride in trying to lead that bench group. We take a lot of pride in coming out and bringing energy to that first group when they come out of the game. Whether we're ahead, we try to keep the lead. Whether we're behind, we try to pick it up. So we take a lot of pride in coming onto the floor and playing the right way.
Show tonight. Thank you so much, Malcolm.
Thank you.
23 points for Malcolm Brogdon in this matchup, a season high for him coming off of the bench, signing some autographs there inside of TD Garden. Said he got some stretching and everything done, but hopefully he stretches like that every single game day, because he was going off tonight in this matchup. But Eddie, what allowed Malcolm Brogdon to get loose?
Well, I think he's just aggressive. And what I mean by aggressive, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're just looking to make your shot. You're just taking what the defense giving, but you're also putting pressure. And to me, Malcolm Brogdon is the dude with the black Air Force Ones. You don't want to mess with him. He He out here like you taking him. You might look at him and be like, oh, whatever. But then you look down at his feet and you say, oh, he got on the Black Forces. I don't know. And he came out there with the business tonight, and he actually exactly set the tone for the bench. And when I was playing, we always said bench mob, right? Bench mob. Like, we gonna come in and we want to keep it. We either gonna go better, but we're never gonna sink, and that's the most important thing. And what he did was he definitely made the team get a whole lot better. The second unit came in and played well because of him. And those are the things that I think that moving forward that we got to look for him. And again, like I said, he the dude out there in the Black Forces, man. You don't want to mess with that.
Look, for people who don't know at home, if you got black Air Force Ones on, that means that you are willing to do anything, okay? Anything out there. All right, let's bring in Scal, who's live from inside of TD Garden. And Scal, you heard Eddie talk about Malcolm Brogdon and his contribution to this win tonight. What did you see out of Brogdon in this matchup?
Hey, Eddie, I got another one, too. You go up to him like, yeah, way to bust him. And he gives you the handshake and the eye contact. You're like, oh, all right, that's how we doing it today? Let him do his thing for sure, man. I want to give him a shoulder, the chest bump. He give you the handshake like, hey, thank you. No, he was dominant today. Hey, and he said that in all of his interviews, like, man, I've been the guy. I don't want to be the guy no more. I just want to pick my spots because I've been hurt in the past. Now my body, like for me to have a great third quarter and put the team on my back, that's not going to lead to me being overused. So I was a huge fan of what Malcolm Brogdon did today. And I think there are moments where, like, players off the bench, like we've seen Derek White at times, Malcolm Brogdon, those guys have to have those moments. That's how you navigate an NBA season where you will have some juice left in the playoffs.
The bench had 48 points tonight in this matchup. Such a totally different bench than what we saw last season. But, Scal, how is that a characteristic of a team that's looking to go deep in the playoffs and ultimately win a championship?
Yeah, I just thought they guarded so well today. It was, I didn't think they had as many lapses as they had the other night. It was a great matchup for the Celtics. Like, the Wizards played really slow, so I think, they got to get their defense on track. That's what's going to make them a championship-level team, and that's tonight. They had their moments where they took their defense and it allowed them to have some easy baskets or put the Wizards in rotation where they'll get some wide-open shots.
Let's talk a little bit about Jason Tatum. 23 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists. He even got a little bit of rest in that fourth quarter. And by rest, I mean he got about 2 breaths out there on the bench. But, Eddie, what did you see out of Jason Tatum in this one?
Just being himself, man, going out there and being comfortable. I don't think the thing about it, you see 8 for 15, there's no forced shots out there. He's just taking what the defense gives him. And I would have liked that second unit to actually just close the game out where they wouldn't even have to bring the starters back in. And that's where you have to, even though I seen the Geno out there on the Jumbotron at the end of the game and things like that, but I would like to see this Celtics team get to where the second unit is able to hold a lead and guys could have ice on their knees while everybody else is getting comfortable. Guys like Peyton Pritchard could come in and knock down shots. But Jason Tatum, I mean, he's a superstar, and he's just going to continue to get better. And I like the way that he's just allowing the game to come to him. He's not forcing anything, and that's where you see that the maturation in him is that he's not forced. The game is slowing down, and he's seeing the game. And that's what I see from him, is that the fact of being there and playing at a high level for so long that the game starts to slow down, and that's what's happening right now.
And, Scal, what I feel was so different was that I never really see – go ahead, Scal. I never really see Jason Tatum be able to take a break out there on the court. I heard you talk about it during the game, but go ahead, say what you need to say.
I was just going to ask Eddie, what do you make of Tatum and Brown taking the first 21 shots of the game? I don't know if I've ever seen both those guys like kind of take turns and be that aggressive. You've played with LeBron and D Wade. I really haven't been on teams that have 2 wings that are like that. What did you take from the way that both those guys came out aggressively in that first quarter?
Well, I'm not mad if they're aggressive and at the point of they're taking what the defense is giving them, and then it's actually being productive. It's different if you're being aggressive and you don't get nothing from it and you got guys open, double teams are coming, you're not making the right play. But if they're making the right play, 8 for 15, I mean, yeah, they were aggressive early, and I like aggressiveness early because that opens up everything, not only for themselves, but open up everything for the rest of their teammates. So I'm good with that.
Yeah, and I'll co-sign that. I just think once they got the boat moving in the right direction, everyone else followed. So they just set the tone early, and I think it set the tone for the game. I'm going to keep my eye out on that on Wednesday against Cleveland, because that might be the way that this team needs to start, and everybody else. It's not like those guys both had 40 tonight. They both ended up in the mid-20s, like probably both below their averages. So I'm curious if they come out with an aggressive mindset heading into each game now, and then letting the role players or the auxiliary players like the Malcolm Brogdons of the world, the Derek Whites or Marcus Smarts, like those guys can kind of find and pick their spots around the aggressive starts.
Yeah, the Jays set the tone, and everything else should fall into place. Thanks so much, Scal, for that insight. Let's send out to Abby Chin, though, who's with Joe Mazzulla right now.
Joe, you guys led this wire-to-wire, held the Wizards under 39% shooting. What was different about the defense?
Like I said, I think our guys played great. I thought we were consistent, and I thought there were times where our offense lagged a little bit, but our defensive execution never did, and the effort has always been there. We just did a great job of locking in every single possession, on ball and off ball, and our physicality never waned.
We talked rotations pregame. You went with some all-bench units tonight. What kind of lift did that group give you?
Yeah, I just thought it was a great opportunity coming off an overtime game to trust your bench, and I thought our bench did a great job keeping the pace up, getting great shots, and then the physicality defensively was the same. And so, you know, in moments like that where you can develop your bench and they can play, it's really going to help us.
Are you a believer in momentum? How do you guys take this going into that rematch against the Cavs?
I mean, I'm a believer in just moving on to the next game and doing what you're supposed to be doing.
So no.
No.
Joe, thank you.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Joe Mazzulla keeping it straightforward right there. Look at that final score from inside of TD Garden, 112-94.